going to be using this money, of course, as I just said, to expand production and facilities there in Australia and elsewhere. But what kind of valuation does this actually give you? And also on top of that, what specifically on those plans, can you expand on those plans, I should say?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I think in terms of the money that we intended to raise, I think basically in the coming years, we were thinking that, our local production, the upstream, we will continue to invest. And then I think Australia will be another area that where we're going to allocate a fair amount of budget, because that is going to be a very strategic investment for us, because we needed a lot of ingredient that's coming back from Australia to Malaysia to support our growth, because particularly with regards to fresh ingredient from Australia. Yeah.
I just want to get a sense of, how big you see the market in Southeast Asia as we see it expand. What sort of levels are you looking at? And indeed, what sort of share of the pie do you want in, let's say, 5 years from now?
Yeah, I think there is one thing that I think over the last 10 years, we have learned a fair bit in terms of how to do dairy farming in a sustainable manner in the tropic. Because if you look at, dairy industry, the closer you are to the equator line, with that kind of weather and humidity, in fact, is quite challenging. So we hope that, what we learn down here over the next few years, we can actually go to the region that have the similar challenges as well as difficulty. And we hope that we can actually grow in that space. I think that remains a big opportunity for us here.
So what specific targets are you setting for the next 5 years, Tuan? I mean, both for Southeast Asia in terms of market share and also in Malaysia, where you currently hold an 18% market share. Give us some specific details.
Yeah, I think in terms of the neighboring country, for example, places like Philippines and Indonesia, for example, I think, Malaysia, you only have about 30 million population vis-a-vis our neighbor. They have got such a vast opportunities. Now, I think in that sense, per capita consumption as well, I think Malaysia today stood at 55 liters, Indonesia 17, for example, and in Philippines 23. So I think in that sense, we really hope that over the next 5 years, if we can, ideally, we would like to see at least incremental or 1/3 of our contribution coming from outside our country. That's what we hope to be achieved here.
So given your growth ambitions, are you looking at mergers and acquisitions in the region? Are you in talks currently?
No, I think that is not something at this point of time that on our thoughts, But I think possibly we want to grow organically for now. But having said that, I think we're also not ruling out a potential, if there is any opportunity arises, we might even consider that as well. Obviously, that is something that will probably shorten our entry, for example. That is something we will consider.
Tuan, we're seeing wheat prices skyrocket to records. We've got grain prices right across the world down to what's going on with Ukraine, really, really elevated. How does that play out in your pricing? And do you have pricing power? That's the question here as well. And what does it do for food inflation in your view?
Yeah, I think it's undoubtedly, I think the current situation, the headwinds are very, very strong. It's something that we have not seen for quite a while. And it happens very fast and come very quick as well with all the disruption. The grain costs that form part of our important input costs for our dairy animal, for example, it does hurt us, right? So I think, but we have not increased our price for the last 4 years, and it was deliberately do so because we wanted the fresh milk to be made available for the masses. So going forward, I think what we did is that last October, we have already increased our price. We passed on about 5%, to mitigate some of the costs that built on. And I think that is suffice enough to see, ourselves to actually mitigate some of those impact that is happening to us, yeah.
And so you're able to absorb these costs, is that what you're saying?
Sorry.
I said, from what you just said, it seems that you think that you can absorb these costs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, correct. I think over the years, through the growth rate that we have, economic of scales and doing things better, things like that, and buy better, for example. Those are the things that we have done well, in a sense that even notwithstanding 4 years without any price increase, our margins are still there. So we hope that, we can improve that, in a sense that, I think these are short-term problem. Commodity price as usual, they come and they will probably go as quickly as well. So I think in our case, I think for now we are comfortable. Although we have our brand equities are very strong, we have the ability to actually push on the price increase if need be. Yeah.
Tuan, we've seen supply chain disruptions, borders getting shut, but governments are committing to opening the borders. And what are you seeing in terms of how your goods are getting delivered? Any difficulties still, or are difficulties easing?
Yeah, I think in terms of difficulty, I think that only during the initial period of that lockdown, I think that caused a bit of disruption. But over the last, a year plus, I think things are quite normalized. So in terms of, let's say, for example, to Singapore, we almost deliver milk daily to Singapore. So I think that part of it is maybe a bit of delay here and there during, a certain spike of, all the driver need to do swab tests and things like that. But overall, I think it's manageable. And I think that we have managed that COVID incidences quite well, in a sense that our plant did not suffer any shutdown throughout the pandemic period. Yeah.